Welcome, everybody. We're very excited about our pro day on Monday. Unlike last year, where we had to be very creative and try to help the guys get opportunities to be seen by the NFL at a very difficult time when COVID had just come on our scene and changed all of our lives so much. We're very excited about Monday. It'll be at 9 o'clock. All the teams will be represented except one, and that one team supposedly is not going to any of the pro days across the country. The other thing about pro day that's exciting for us is we've got 5 really good players that are going to try out. And when you got really good players, it means you had a good year, and it helps our team. Our team will be able to come out and look. The parents and the agents will have to be involved on Zoom. But the team and the scouts and our coaches and staff will be there watching, and the pro coaches will be running the drills. So we will not be involved with the drills, but we'll just be watching and supporting our guys. So Chaz Surratt, De'Ami Brown, Michael Carter, Javonte Williams, Dad Newsome, they can leave here with a tremendous amount of pride because they came into a program that had won 5 games in 2 years, and they're leaving with a program that in some areas will be rated in the top 10 in preseason next year. So they did a tremendous job for us, and we're really excited to watch them work out on Monday. Questions?
All right, Coach, thanks for getting us started here. Our first question will come from John Helmkamp. Go ahead, John.
Hi, Coach Brown. How are you doing today?
Good, John.
Hey, thank you so much for taking the time with us. You have a really interesting group, a very talented group of skill position players, like you said, that are going to be coming out into this draft. What was it like having such a dynamic group, both of running backs and wide receivers, that you're making kind of one last push with and also getting them ready to go on to the NFL?
Well, John, it was fun. We looked up, and I didn't realize it. I coached against those 2 great backs at USC back in 2005. And those 2 guys were 2 of the best to ever play, and maybe the best combination. And then people started comparing Michael Carter and Javonte Williams to them at midseason, and the numbers were even better than those 2 had at that time. So just to watch the uniqueness of those 2 backs, one powerful but fast, the other so elusive and had great vision and patience, but at the same time, they could both catch in this offense where you could spread it out and have really good receivers. It was very, very difficult for people to stop. And obviously Sam Howell, who will probably be a top draft choice next year, was a key to this also. But what we were able to do offensively is what I envisioned when I was with ABC and ESPN: spread people out. If they're going to spread out with you, run the ball with the great players that we had, that we talked about with those 2. If they're going to stay in, you've got 2 guys that are very, very fast. They're very good with the ball in their hands spread out, and Sam's accuracy. So it made it very, very difficult for people to stop. Now, John, that's the good thing. The bad thing is we lose over 4,000 yards of offense Monday. Yep. So you can't replace those guys, but we got to try to find somebody to fill in those spots. But all 4 of these guys are really good. They're going to play on a team next year, and obviously our hope for them is that they get drafted very high and they make a lot of money and have a lot of success and stay for a long time.
Thanks for your time. Good luck Monday.
Thanks, John.
Before we go to the second one, just a reminder, if you do have a question, please use the raised hand function. Our next question today will come from Matthias Ornelas.
Yeah. Coach Mack, Matheus Ornelas from Brazil. Congratulations for all that you could do for the players, like for the pro day they're gonna have. And I want to ask you about the 2020 season. How was for the coaching staff and for you, like, have the players to keep their head on the place, and you didn't know at the time it's gonna have a season or not. So how was for the coaching staff try to help the players to keep like the head on the place, help the guys that have to go for the draft without the pro day, and all these little things that become big because of the COVID?
welcome again. And it's a great question. Sitting there at late summer when the Big Ten decided not to play and the Pac-12 decided not to play, I actually didn't think we would be playing. And we tried to be honest with our players and our staff and said, continue to work because we don't know. I'm not sure that we'll play this fall, but if not, we'll have spring practice and we'll play in the spring. And all of that at some point was really real. But it's one of the great things about these 5 young people. They bought in, they trusted us, and they kept working. And they showed the leadership on our team to show our team to continue to work. And one of the reasons that we had such an outstanding team this year is our guys did what they were supposed to do. We only had one player miss a game because of COVID. And that's because these guys pulled together and all decided that it was really, really important for them to play if anybody was going to be able to play. And we told them that we assured them that if at any time our medical team and science told us that it was unsafe for them to play, we wouldn't play and that we would quit that day. And Bubba Cunningham and Chancellor Gustowitz said the same. So our team trusted us. We were on the same page. And I think that's what made it so much fun this year. These guys worked, but they stayed out of trouble. They went by the guidelines and they did the things they needed to do to stay safe, to have a great fall.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
All right. Next question from Alex Dimel. Go ahead, Alex.
Hey, Coach, how are you? Thanks for taking the time.
Thank you, Alex.
So obviously you just talked about Javonte Williams and and Michael Carter. They are, let me find it here, respectively on CBS Sports's mock draft for running, or in the running back rankings, they were respectively 3rd and 4th. So how were they able to learn from each other throughout their college careers and kind of improve with not only having the competition between the two of them, but learn as they went on in their careers?
Alex, one of the things that's so cool about these two guys that they were able to work together. Robert Gillespie did an outstanding job of knowing when to keep one in or when to pull one out, and the one with the hot hand stayed in. But at the same time, there was never any tension. If Michael scored 5 touchdowns, Javonte was the first one there to congratulate him, and vice versa. And I think that's one of the things that make these two, like the other 3, the 5 guys, so special, is they were very unselfish. But for these 2 running backs, like Daz and Diami, to share catches and share balls. When you've got that many good players, there's only one ball. There's not enough balls to go around. So they could be mad, they could have quit, they could have pouted, and it was never mentioned. I never heard one word out of the 4 offensive guys about why I'm not getting the ball more. It was all about winning. And I think that's another trait that makes it special for them when teams are looking at them on Monday.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move over to CL Brown, please.
Mac, at this point, what advice do you give to all the participants going into this game, knowing that, they already got all of the season's worth of game tape on your guys? So what do you tell them about this day in particular?
CL, it's a great question because there's a tremendous amount of pressure on these guys. Their dream has been to play in the NFL. Their dream was to get a start in high school and play well, win a state championship. Then their dream was to go to college on a scholarship. And then their dream gets to be, I want to be a player in the NFL. Everybody wants to be drafted real high. So Monday is right in their face about, okay, here's the next step to a wonderful time in my life that I've dreamed about every day. And you have to be really, really careful that you don't try to do too much. You are who you are. So my advice to these guys is enjoy Monday and just do the best you can do. Don't try to do more than that. And I think that more than anything else is what happens. Guys try to do too much, or they don't sleep the night before and they pull up because they're so nervous. It's just, Sonia Ross was a great track player for us at Texas. She won a gold medal, but she lost the race that she thought she was going to win. And she came in and talked to our team about why she lost. And she said, I didn't eat. I was so nervous. I got off my preparation and I tried to do more than I could. I wanted it too badly. And then after I settled down and got back on my routine, I won the gold medal, Sonia Richards-Ross. And she told our team at Texas that story, and it is so true. Don't try to do too much. You be you. And you show them what you've got. What you've got's enough, but don't try to do more than you can do. And show them your personality. Show them your passion. Show them your leadership. But don't try to do too much. I think that's when guys get in trouble, when they can't sleep on Sunday night because they're too nervous, or they don't hydrate because they're not going to work out 2 days before. You do what you do every day, and you keep preparing like you have every day, and you just be you. And that's the best advice that I can give them.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, let's go over to Brooke Pryor. Go ahead, Brooke.
Hey, Mac, wanted to ask you a little bit more about Javonte Williams, because Najee Harris out of Alabama has been kind of tabbed as the consensus #1 running back in this draft. But the last couple of weeks, Javonte's made a move on some draft boards. Can you kind of make the case for why he should be the #1 back off the board? And what about his skill set can translate so well to the NFL?
Brooke, he's #1, a great person, but he's big. He's fast, he's strong, he runs with low pads. I think we had 3 fumbles all year with our running backs. So both of these running backs protect the ball. They can both protect, they can both catch the ball out of the backfield. And they're both great people that work hard every day. So of these 5 guys, I can't say anything negative about any of them. The advantage that you would give to a Javonte is his size. I mean, he's so powerful, and he just bounced off players week in and week out. And that big back sometimes in the fourth quarter is a lot better than any back is in the first quarter, because they just keep pounding and pounding and pounding. And that's who he was. He was a short yardage and goal line back when we got here, so he was used to doing that. But he had great speed. And all of his is ahead of him. He was a linebacker some in high school. He wasn't very highly recruited. And his last 2 years, he touched the ball a whole lot, and he sure has made a name for himself.
Okay, let's head over to Jonathan Alexander. Go ahead, Jonathan.
Hey, Mac, hope you're doing well.
Hey, Jonathan, how are you?
I'm good.
Welcome back.
Yeah, thank you. Glad to be back. Wanted to ask about Michael Carter, a couple questions.
Okay.
Where was his biggest growth from his junior to his senior year? And you briefly touched on it. He shared that load with Javonte. Before Javonte's sophomore year, he was kind of the lead guy before Javonte kind of broke out. So what does that say about him in particular that he took that?
For you other national reporters, Jonathan covered us like so many did on here. So he saw the guys before I saw them. Michael was the guy that when I was with ESPN and ABC, I first got here and I said, is number 8 still here? Because he was so flashy and he was such a good runner. And people worry about his size. Michael's very strong, and he's a lot bigger than his height, and he plays bigger than his height. So he can pass protect, he can catch the ball. But what he's got is the power to run inside, and he's got an amazing ability to be patient and make the cut. He can jump sideways on a cut and then be full speed coming out of his break. And that's very, very difficult to do. And Michael was one of the best leaders on this team. When we had our social justice issues in the summer, I went to Michael first. And he and I talked about some hard things. And he helped all of us through this in so many ways. And he helped our team, and he picked people up. And he's happy every day. I mean, the way you'll see him here in a minute is the way I saw him every day for 2 years. And I have to thank these guys much, because last year, the Strobridge and you start looking at Charlie Heck, Miles Dorn, you start looking at the guys from last year that were coming out and getting ready for the draft. They did a tremendous job of buying in, But this bunch is really the bunch that's gotten over the hump and moving forward. And nobody did a better job helping lead this team than Michael Carter.
Okay, next up is David Hale. Go ahead, David.
Hey, Mac, how are you?
Hey, David.
I was wondering if you would mind kind of taking us back through the evolution of Chaz Surratt from quarterback when you got here to becoming this All-American caliber linebacker, and where you think he is now compared to where his ceiling might be as he gets a little more experience under his belt.
Yeah, thank you, David. I think it's the best story of the year and maybe of the 2 years, because at ESPN, I remember hearing about the 5-star quarterback and what he was going to do at Carolina. And I'm a Carolina fan at that time. So like all of us, we got teams we pull for, or coaches we pull for. And I like Coach Fedora. So I said, man, this is great. They got him a 5-star quarterback for the future. And usually if you get that quarterback, you got what you need. And then he struggles at Miami, and then he breaks his wrist. And I get here and he comes to see me and says, Coach, I want to play linebacker. And I said, well, we need a quarterback. And he said, nope. To me, I want to play in the NFL. That's my dream. And I have a lot better chance to play in the NFL at linebacker than I do quarterback, because I'm more of an RPO guy. And it's just, that's just what I want to do. So I thought, okay, I don't know you. We'll let you try it and see where it works. And I said, well, what about safety? And he said, no, I want to be a linebacker. And what we found, David, is even in the spring, it didn't look like at first he had great instincts, but he'd never been over there. He'd never tackled anybody in college, but he could run. He was very strong. He was working hard, even with the broken wrist. And then we get ready to play South Carolina, and we've got Jeremiah Gemmel in the opener in Charlotte. We've got Jeremiah Gemmel and Chaz Surratt. Neither linebacker had ever played linebacker one snap in a game. And I'm sitting on the bus riding to Charlotte saying, are you kidding me? We're going to play South Carolina, and neither guy has ever tackled a guy at linebacker in a ball game. And then early in the game, Feaster, I think, comes in and he hits Chaz and bounces off and goes and scores. And Jay Bateman is all over him. And I remember grabbing Jay and saying, he's never made a tackle in his life in a game. Come on, man. He is learning on the run. But what he did, he's smart, he's tough, he's a workout freak, he's in great shape. He watches what he eats and how he runs and works out, and he's gotten a lot bigger, and he's so fast. And the things that he learned as a quarterback really helped him when he started trying to figure out the plays on defense. And he was all over the place. And we look up and he's running down screens and he's just got a feel for the game. So I think, David, he'll be one of the better linebackers out there in the draft. But to me, you've got to draft Chaz because his upside is unbelievable, because he hadn't played but 2 years. There's no telling how good he can really be. And it's because he can play all over the field. And then when we needed a pass rusher, we put him up at outside backer and brought him, and he was one of our best pass rushers. So he's just so versatile. But I think the key to Chaz is there's so much ahead of him, and the learning curve is so good that there's really no telling how good he can be.
Thanks, Mac. Appreciate it.
Thank you, David.
All right, next up is Kalen Jones.
Hey, Coach, thank you for taking the time. I want to ask, how did the pandemic affect interactions with NFL reps for you in comparison to normal times?
Kayla, it's another great question. We didn't have any interaction with us as coaches. I hired Daryl Moody, and Daryl Moody worked with me for like 13 years, maybe even 16, as a running back coach and at some point offensive coordinator. And then Daryl became a pro scout for 18, 19 years. And I had him with our guys because he knew all the pro scouts. He knows the general managers. He knows the draft. He knows how it works. So Coach Moody has worked with our 5 guys to have communication with the draft, try to make sure even when scouts couldn't come to the games that we were getting the proper information to the scouts. And Daryl has really helped our guys in preparation for Monday, but he's also helped the pro scouts and tried to make sure that we have everything set up perfectly, because he knows what the pro day is supposed to look like, because he went to them for 19 years. So I think in a year where communication has been so difficult for all of us, and the pro guys weren't at practice and they weren't around as much as they have been in the past and will be in the future, that Coach Moody helped our guys because he kept them in tune with what's happening around them and what's going to happen with the draft. But at the same time, he also told the scouts and the coaches.
And when you first started, like early on, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
And when
go
you
ahead. The guys are showing up. I haven't seen them in a while.
Sorry about that, Coach. When you first started out, like early in your career, though, I guess, like, how have you seen interactions with NFL teams and with NFL scouts, like as far as like open door policies and whatnot, comparison to when you first started in your career, your coach career, compared to now?
Yeah. When I first started, Caleb, we didn't have many players. So we're just hoping somebody'd come around and say hello. And then we had some players at Tulane. We had a few at Appalachian State. We ended up having a lot here. So by the time we got to Texas, we had a really good system in place, and we had an agent system in place. We had a financial advisor system in place, and we knew who the agents were that were taking the best care of the players. And if an agent was being great to the players on our team that he had, we would invite them back to agent day. But if not, we wanted our guys treated properly. So here we have a really good system in place. Paul Pogge's an assistant athletic director that helps with Coach Moody. And Coach Moody's in charge of everything that we do that interacts with the pros. So I think we're in a better place right now, Kaylin, than we've ever been. And I can't wait, like all of us, till COVID gets away, because so much of what we're doing now is on Zoom. But the guys have been on Zoom with the pro scouts and the general managers, and the assistant coaches had a day where they were on Zoom with all of the pro guys that were involved in their teams and guys that were coming. So we've worked really, really hard to make sure that our guys have every advantage that any college team could possibly have, by making sure the NFL knows who our guys are.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Kayla.
Okay, next up is EJ Daniels.
How you doing, Coach Brown?
Good, EJ. How are you?
Good, sir. One thing I wanted to ask you about is, you mentioned you had a dynamic duo at running back, but I want to talk about your dynamic duo at wide receiver between Dyami Brown and Daz Newsome. One thing I noticed about Dyami is his release package, how his release package got better, as he progressed, and also Daz, his just dog, his mentality of how he goes about his business, specifically on his blocking. Can you talk a little bit about the progression that you've seen from both of them from the time you got them to now?
Yes, EJ, my 32 years in coaching, they're as good as any two I've ever coached. They're both really, really good. And the thing that gave people fits is if they tried to double cover Daz in the slot, then you got Dyami one-on-one, and nobody really covered him all year one-on-one. If you spread out and try to cover both wideouts, you've got Daz inside on a safety, which is just unfair. So I thought our system was good, but those two guys worked. They worked really hard together. They caught the ball, and they were really, really good at yards after catch, which you've got to be at receiver anymore to make it work. Again, like those two running backs, we're not going to replace those guys. We'll have some different guys. But those four specialty players on offense were as good a four as I've been around, because they're really special people and players. And we scored pretty easy. So we've got to go back to work. We're practicing tomorrow without them, so it'll be different.
Thank you very much, Coach. Appreciate you.
Thank you, EJ. Thanks for being on.
Okay, next up is David Miller.
Hi, Coach Brown. How are you doing today?
Hey, David.
Hey, just obviously, what's this process like for you as a head coach? As you've just mentioned, these guys are all going to do their pro days. are all special players towards the team. They've made massive impacts. For you as a coach, what is it like watching these players go through this draft process and to eventually be drafted into the NFL?
David, you want what's best for your players, and you want them to fulfill their dreams. And we've always said, if you're going to make money, leave. If you can't, come back and try it again. But in my years as a head coach, we would never expect or ask a guy to stay who's got a chance to make a lot of money, because that's one of their dreams, and it would be very unfair for us to say, come back to help us and forget your money. You can make your money next year. Well, you don't know. You don't know their status. You don't know how they'll play. You don't know if they'll stay healthy. So our job, David, and I've always felt this way, our job is to educate our players on what's out there. Here's because of Coach Moody, we know what the scouts are saying about our guys. We know what the general managers are saying about our guys. We've got a lot of friends that are coaching in the NFL, and they'll be honest with us. So we can go to our players and say, I know you may not like what you hear, but these are facts. This is exactly what they're saying. And then we try to help them look at a group of agents that we trust. We don't tell them who to take ever. That wouldn't be our deal. So our deal is to get enough options available for our guys that they can make decisions on what's best for them. And then when they make it, we try to help them in any way we can. So our guys are always welcome to come back and work out here, and we will do everything possible we can to help them put their best foot forward on Monday.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, let's head over to Alex Kozera.
Hey, Coach. I know on Monday the focus is going to be on testing and workouts and things like that, but a big reason why the NFL comes to these pro days is to learn the people and know who these guys are, especially in a year without the combine. I know you've already kind of touched on it with some of these guys, but just broadly, who are the people, the guys off the field and leaders the NFL is getting? Any specific stories that come to mind about one or two of these guys that really showed leadership, or just the men that are going to the NFL?
Well, the biggest thing is we were a team. Is it Ellis? Alex, we were a team that didn't win many games for 2 years. We won one Power 5 game in each of 2 years, and it was Pittsburgh. And so we were struggling for leadership. And I remember in one of the first meetings, one of the guys raised his hand and said, how do we win? And these guys really stepped up with a Sam Howell, some other guys like Jeremiah Gemmel. They stood up and took over our team. And player-led teams have a chance to be really good. Coach-led teams are okay. But you can't be out there in a tough situation on the field. The guys have to do that. And with COVID and with the social justice issues that we saw, and so many people dying and hungry and out of work, and some of the parents really struggling, we needed leadership this year more than at any time in college football history, in my estimation, because it was tough. 9/11 was different, but it happened, and then we went back to play. There were so many unanswered questions and so much uncertainty with COVID, and then some of the despicable things we saw with social injustice, that there was a lot of pressure on our team to stand up and speak. And should I speak out? Is it wrong? Will I not be drafted if I speak out? Will I not get a job when I get out of here? Same thing with our coaches. So this was a year where guys had to stick together. This is a year where we had to have some really uncomfortable and tough conversations. And this is a year where we all had to make really strong decisions and then go forward as a group. And these 5 guys were 100% all in and did everything within their power to help not only themselves, their side of the ball, but help our team win.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time.
How are you, Daz? Good.
Coach,
Guys,
we've hit our allotted time. We appreciate it, you joining us today.
I was going to say, I see the guys coming in and they're all smiling and getting ready to talk to you all. And I'm really, really proud that they're obviously an extension of our program. And I'm proud anytime these guys stand up and represent the University of North Carolina football program. So thank you all. Thanks for being on, and enjoy our guys.